Oh, hi everybody. Joe Cioffi, Fios 1 News, Long Island and New Jersey.
And Joe Rayo, Fios 1 News, Lower Hudson Valley.
And welcome to the Joe and Joe Weather Show for this Wednesday, the 28th of November, 2018. It's almost over. It's flying by. I always say when you get to Halloween, that the time from November 1st to December 26th is basically one long day.
Yeah.
It really feels like that.
It sure does, and it's hard to believe that this coming weekend is the first weekend of December, believe it or not.
And considering the kind of November we've had in a large part of the Northeast, the northern Mid-Atlantic, back over through the Great Lakes with these early snowfalls, snowfall records that have been set in many of these areas, either for the snowiest month or for the snowiest individual storm. And there's still another, there's still a little bit of time here with some weak systems going by. But really, for the month of November, this has been a pretty outstanding month for snow lovers.
Well, the question now that I think a lot of snow lovers are thinking is, will this continue into December and January, February? Does this
March? If it was the real snow lovers, would say April, May, June. Okay, but yeah, and you're right. That is a big question. And it's a question that nobody has the answer to, and it's a question that people that you always get asked. Questions about the long range, and this is one of the big reasons why I don't really spend time with it, because I just can't get my head around it. Let's try and figure out the puzzles inside the 10-day period to 2 weeks at most, and just focus on that. And the long range will take care of itself.
I've been looking at all the maps today, including the maps on my tie. See this?
Oh, you're occluding as we speak.
Let me just. Will this show up well? I'm not sure if it will or not.
You can see it just.
But you can see the eye. There you go, right there. It's a map. It's a weather map that's on my tie here, and this is. I'd like to know what the date of this is. Do they have a date here for this?
Well, there's a low. Oh, we don't like this. Snow lovers wouldn't like this.
Yeah.
There's a low near Toronto with a warm front down into Delaware.
Yeah, it's repetitive.
Oh, so good. It's in the upper 30s and low 40s and raining, Joseph.
Okay. Well,
actually, there is a date. Come here. 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. There's a time. National Weather Service. 7:30 precip. No, there's no date.
Well, Department of Commerce.
Commerce.
Yeah. Well. Anyway,
well, we'll figure it out. All right. So, first thing, we got a powerhouse storm here. I'm going to bring up the satellite in full. I'm also going to share with you a link for tomorrow that you might be interested in taking a look at. These are live cams that are in Nova Scotia. And they're going to be getting hit hard with heavy rains and snows and strong winds, particularly the eastern part, and then heading out, toward Newfoundland, which is going to get hit very hard indeed. So the link is up there. I put it inside the chat here. So take a bookmark it and take a look at that tomorrow in the morning, because I'm sure it's going to be crazy. But if you look in the upper right, Joe, the signature of that storm is there. I was trying to find a close-up view, and I really couldn't. I couldn't find a sector that goes up there on
not even
on
the
goes.
No, the Northeast is probably out of the Northeast.
It cuts off. I didn't have time to really dig around. But you can see that's a really impressive system, and we're talking about pressures that are going to get down to 950 millibars, which is like a Cat 3 hurricane.
Well, we've already seen in at least parts of Newfoundland winds gusting to 65 miles per hour, and that is one potent storm system. And as you just mentioned, interacting with a cold dome of air that is banking on or pushing on down to the north. That's part of the reason why the storm is trying to move on a progressive course to the north and is unable to. Eventually, it's going to get shunted out over the ocean. But in the time frame that it's there now, it's going to bring, as you just mentioned, heavy precipitation, and for the maritime provinces, Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island and Newfoundland, a very significant amount of snow.
Trying to get the latest surface map up here, just having a little bit of difficulty getting the interactive part of this to move. Oh, there we go. Oh, now it went too tight. Ah, okay.
And this, of course, is also the reason why even though we're like 400 or 500 miles away from the center of the storm is so wound up and so intense.
It's already down to almost a 960.
Yeah, that it is buffeting our area with 20 and 30 mile per hour wind gusts, and it will continue that way into tonight and probably right on through much of the day on Thursday before the winds finally relax or abate tomorrow night and into Friday.
There's a surface map right now, folks, and that's that, the deep low. You see it. It's moving actually northwestward, so it's going to get pretty close to the coastline. And I noticed, Joe, on the radar is actually showing, and this is where the NAM may have been correct on this. It is showing that the precip just inland of the coast is falling as heavy snow. Now, I haven't seen any observations from up there. These are 7 o'clock observations, so this, the radar shots are going to be 2 hours later. But the radar is picking up on snow. Some of the models were, trying to figure out whether it was going to be more rain than anything else. But the NAM's been doing a really good job in the precip type since last March.
Yeah, the NAM has become the model of choice, at least for wintertime weather systems, and I have a feeling, Joe, that it may become our favorite model again this upcoming winter if it performs as well as it did last year.
I'm going to try. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Thank you so much. I accept the blessing with humility and grace. Let me see if I can get the wind up on the map here. I had it before, and then it kind of disappeared, and now I think I might have succeeded. So let's make it bigger, and we can take a look at some of these wind gusts, which are showing up in the blue. But I'm going to make that a bit bigger for everybody to see. So a little more density, and we'll make the font size. Let's try 26. That probably works better. The question is, will it load?
This sure beats the old days when we had to sit down and plot a sectional, doesn't it?
I know. It really, it's great. I mean, it's so instantaneous.
All of you young people out there who are aspiring meteorologists, you don't know what you've missed out on from 30 and 40 years ago.
The numbers are small. There's something, I changed the size, but it doesn't seem to be working. So trust us. I'm just looking at some of the wind gusts here, Joe. You're looking at some, along the coast of Nova Scotia. Looks like a lot of places gusting between 35 and 40 miles an hour, and you can see the inland temperatures are in the mid 30s. So
right.
You're probably starting to, the radars might be correct. And we had some gusts in the numbers of 59. There's a gust of 59. This is, is that Bergio? Bergio?
Yeah.
59. This station here, they're getting harder. Porta Basque, and that is also, that's gusting to 52, and that's easy. Wreck House, gusting to 44, and here's a gust to 60 in St. Lawrence.
Right.
And now we're in the
one of those is in Bonne Vista.
Cape Race.
It's Cape Race.
Cape Race is 53. And that's a gust to 18.
St. John's.
At St. John's.
I said
no, 48. I'm sorry, it's a gust to 48.
There's a St. John and there's a St. John's. I always get them confused. Well, at least the one with the plural. That's Sable Island.
Sable Island. You want to go out there?
No,
I'm not doing that.
What's the?
I thought maybe you said. I didn't realize it was that far offshore.
Oh, you thought it was right off the.
Well, I thought it was.
Oh no.
I did. No, it's My Phil Buzz, my fishing buddy's been trying to get me out in the open ocean. I won't even come out of the bay. Okay, Sable Island. It's 34 there. It's 36, 34. That's brutal. 40 west northwest at 48, gusting to 62.
Oh,
that's insane.
Lovely.
Now what's this one?
That might be one of those temporary.
That's Bowie 44139.
Yeah.
East at 18, gusting to 22. So they're at a bit of a break. But my God. What is the population of Sable Island?
Well, I asked that on your YouTube channel, whether or not there are actually inhabitants there, or maybe just somebody who is there, as part of the Canadian Armed Forces or whatever. Or maybe it's desolate. I don't know.
Just checking some of these.
I'll have to go on Wikipedia and check it out and see what Sable Island's all about later.
Bedford Basin. Bevan Island. See, now that's an island I think I can do. Okay. 26 gusting to 32 there. So you get the idea. And, of course, our wind gusts have really come down. you know, we had some gusts earlier today that were up into the low 40s, but you know the gusts are much lower now, in the 30s and 20s,
kind of like diurnal,
mid 20s. Yeah, the wind definitely coming down.
Get the sun back up tomorrow, and up goes the wind again.
We're going to try to bring up the radar. The internet's just a little bit slow tonight, folks, so just bear with us. Not too much happening from the standpoint of the snow now. There's going to be some snow coming in, backing in from the east in Maine later tonight and during the day on Thursday into eastern Maine, and that might make it back a little further west. But we're starting to see the snows wind down through upstate New York, which is a good thing. A little bit of weak snow precip here, some snow moving through the upper Midwest and heading through Chicago at the moment. We've got some stuff out in the Rockies, and then we got this powerhouse system that's coming into California that's going to be our weather maker going forward. So let's jump to the maps real quick because we're already at 9:35 Eastern time. Here's that the Nova Scotia storm. I mean, that just really just revs up. Those are the winds, by the way. What we're showing you, anything in red is sustained at 40 knots or higher. So there are going to be some. There probably might be some gusts to hurricane force, I bet.
Yeah, I would not doubt it. As I said earlier on the YouTube show, there was one spot along the south coast of Newfoundland that had a 65-mile-per-hour wind gust, and that thing just keeps. It has not yet. Has it reached its absolute maximum, or it's about?
No, it's still going to deepen. It'll probably peak out sometime tomorrow morning.
Right.
All right, so we got the new NAM out to 54 hours, so let's see what it does. And, you know, the first thing is that weak system that comes in for Friday. And, I'm sorry, just got to give the maps a little bit of time to load. I don't know if the
I don't know why it does it backwards.
I'm not sure if there's, you know, maybe the wind is having some issues. I don't know. I'm throwing it out there. I have no idea. It shouldn't, but it seems like the signal's running slow. Okay, so there's that snow that gets thrown back into Maine briefly, into eastern Maine. That comes in overnight, and then by tomorrow morning it's done. Nova Scotia gets its snow. Now here comes that weak system from the west, a little bit of moisture here for Friday afternoon and evening. You could barely find it. And now this is the system for Saturday that we're out to 54 hours, so this is 1 a.m. Saturday morning, so we're still fine, right, and we're still going to be okay for the daytime, so we'll just go back a run.
It looks like that's at least 16 hours away, though. If
you would think.
I would think that we're safe at least through the daylight hours. Of course.
Well, this is 8 a.m. Right, and it's not even into Western PA yet. So then it kind of starts racing during the afternoon, so that it's on our doorstep by 4 or 5 o'clock.
Right. So
and that makes sense.
Right. So I mean, like we lose the daylight by 5, and then it starts raining. So hopefully it'll be a dry daytime on Saturday, and then we get hit on
rain Saturday night. This is at 1 a.m. The back edge already into eastern Pennsylvania. I think this is going to be pretty much gone here by Sunday morning.
That would be good. I've been saying up until now that I thought that maybe we would have at least part of the day on Sunday washed out. And yesterday, or was it the day before yesterday? I think, no, it was yesterday. Yesterday I said, I was concerned about the warm front getting through and maybe we get stuck in. But this is the kind of situation now where it looks like the occluded front from that next system literally acts as a crowbar and pries out whatever low-level cold air there is.
Oh, yeah, you got a good west wind here. Yeah. There's a decent gradient. We may get into the low 60s.
Sunshine, enough sunshine. I absolutely agree with you.
And then we get a front to come through. Cold air is going to come back in Monday into Tuesday, and then we're going to set up with the next system, which is going to be coming out from the Gulf states, and the models are having a really difficult time in terms of where and how. Where you've got the GFS, which late this afternoon went back to what it was doing overnight, which was to take a primary into West Virginia and a quick secondary development that brings rain and snow here. If you want to use the GFS error that, because it's been overwarming in storms going back to last winter.
If it's showing snow,
this could be mostly snow if this were correct.
Right.
But we don't know that this is going to be correct because the upper air, Joe, is questionable. And I'm going to bring a close-up view because this is the GFS's upper air with this. Of course, again, slow to load. But on the run from earlier today, I think shows it better. So I'll bring that up.
And we're talking about a ridge along the eastern seaboard that may force that system from the west to kind of shear off to the north.
Right, and this would bring a low up the west side of the Appalachians, and it would be mostly rain.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That was the GFS earlier today. Okay, and I bring that up because I want to bring that one up because I want to do a direct comparison with the European. You see this ridge, folks, that's in the east? Now take a look at the European for the same time period. It's completely the opposite. Right. There's a trough. There's actually a shortwave trough that's moving through southeastern Canada and across New England. This would argue that you could wind up with a weak low that goes off the southeast coast and goes way out to the east, and you never see a flake or an ice pellet out of it.
Right. In fact, the monster that we're looking at right now near Nova Scotia is indeed a type of system that went offshore as a relatively weak system, got its feet wet, bombed out over the Atlantic. But if you are looking for dynamic weather here, thankfully, the only dynamic weather we're getting is the backlash effect from the winds. Who knows to say that we might see something similar perhaps Tuesday or Wednesday, but again, we're talking about a week away.
Yeah.
And at this time of the year when systems that I mentioned on the YouTube show, if you get like a bunch of systems coming one after another with a day or two time span between, if just one of those systems happens to slow down unexpectedly or speed up unexpectedly or strengthen or weaken unexpectedly, it's going to impact everything else that's behind it. It'll be like a domino effect. So if you sit down and you look at the maps tonight and you write a time scale, so to speak, we're going to get this here, and next Wednesday we'll get this, and when that. Again, if something slows down or speeds up in advance, your whole time frame gets thrown off, and whatever you think is going to happen gets thrown off. So you got to be very careful after even just a few days.
Christopher Timlin, you make an excellent point. When people type negative NAO, what they expect is major cold and snow right to the mid-Atlantic coastline. Yet the NAO has the North Atlantic Oscillation has numerous various states. It's also not a leading driving factor in our weather. I absolutely 100% agree with you. I have said that many times that the NAO is vastly overrated and overstated with regards to its impact. Yes, it does have impact sometimes, and it does sometimes have minor impact, but I'm not going to look at the fact that we have a negative NAO or a positive NAO and use that as a basis for forecasting whether we're going to get snow or not, because the fact is we had two winters here, two very cold and snowy winters here, 13-14 and 14-15, that the NAO was non-existent. Okay, so it is vastly overrated. When it's around, it has impact, but I'm more concerned about the EPO, the East Pacific Oscillation.
And what about the last couple of summers? They felt like summers at the time. The last couple of winters have been abnormally warm. I know we had that cold spell late December, early January of last year, and maybe more people think about that as opposed to the entire winter overall.
I think last winter, when you did the averages, it came out to just about normal, or maybe
actually it came out a little bit above.
Shade above.
There's a website called the State of the Climate.
Right.
And the last couple of winters here, we've had above normal temperatures, and even days where it's been very warm, and yet we still ended up with abnormal amounts of snow.
We have not had a below normal snowfall winter since 11/12.
Right.
We're gonna. If you look back at the record, actually in the Central Park numbers, more than 60% of the time the snowfall is below average.
Right.
Over the long haul. So we can only run this streak of above average snowfall for so long before it finally stops. Is it this year? Is it this winter? Or is it next winter? But one of these winters, we are going to wind up with a subpar winter.
And you talk about also, folks, especially of late, especially the politicizing of climate change and global warming, and is it there or is it not there, or whatever like that. One thing that we had noted, in spite of climate change or global warming situation, since the mid-90s, Joe, December used to be when you and I were first starting in this business, and even when we were growing up, it wasn't much of a month in terms of snowfall. But in the since mid 90s, 1995 or thereabouts, December has turned out to be a significant snow month. We've had 4, 5, 6 inches. One year, I think we had something like 12 or 15. I mean, we never saw.
Well, we
that
had two in 9 and was it December of 09 and well, the Boxing Day storm was 10.
Right.
So I think it was December of 8 and December of 10. I forget. Definitely 10 was the Boxing Day.
10.
There were 2 big
after.
December storms.
Right.
The Boxing Day one, and then I think either the year before or 2 years before that, around December 19th, 20th,
well,
there was a 2-footer for Long Island at least.
Well, don't forget, that was like the week before Christmas.
Right.
And don't forget, in December, Christmas Day of 2002, we had a major snowfall in and around the entire tri-state area.
Actually, I just realized, because we've got the interactive surface map with the library going back to 85, we could always pull those maps up. But you know what? We're going to hold it for another day because we're coming up on 9:45. So I think we're going to call it a night. So
you realize it's not. You just said 9:45.
Yeah.
You realize they still haven't lit the tree yet at Rockefeller Center.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Still?
Now they decided they make it a 2-hour extravaganza till 10 p.m.
When it used to be just an interrupt, we interrupt this newscast for 30 seconds to
that's
light the
absolutely
tree.
true. I was saying in the newsroom before. I remember back growing up. This is the 1960s now, and even into the early 70s. The Rockefeller Center Christmas tree, they'd light it up during the 6 o'clock news on Channel 4, NBC. They'd say, all right, and you're absolutely right. Well, they're going to light the tree now, and there'd be like, Mayor Lindsay or Mayor Wagner or Mayor Bean. Maybe the Governor Rockefeller was there. And say, well, here we go, 1, 2, 3, boom. They light the tree, they'd sing a Christmas carol, and they'd go back to the news. Now they turn it into a 2-hour extravaganza on NBC television, and literally they're going to make viewers wait until like 1.5 minutes before 10 o'clock before they light that tree, and then that's it.
And the traffic in that area
is crazy.
It's nuts. There was once upon a time when you could go there on a weekend without too much difficulty. But when I briefly worked at WNBC back in 2007, so December of 2007, so I did some of the holiday work then, and I had to park 12 blocks away and walk. I don't object to walking, but on a cold night you kind of want to be close.
Right.
But it was a 12-block walk. I didn't get out till midnight. You couldn't get there.
Right.
You couldn't even get there with your car, even if you wanted to. It was so packed.
It's nuts.
And I find it actually rather unpleasant to go see.
It's unpleasant, and it really is unfair. There are some young people, kids, who might want to see the tree lighting up and whatever like that, and it's gone now from like 6 o'clock in the evening to 8 o'clock in the evening to 9. I thought tonight it was 9 o'clock.
On a school
And when I saw it got
night.
past 9 o'clock, I said, wait a minute, what happened? They don't get light. And I checked the schedule. It was 10 o'clock.
On a school night.
On a school night, right.
Although I wonder if that matters anymore.
Before...
In our day, they would never take us out of school to do this sort of stuff. Oh, well. We're going to rant raves ourselves out of existence here if we're not careful.
Well, all right.
So listen, folks, top of the hour, New Jersey and Long Island for me on FiOS 1 News.
And FiOS 1 News, Lower Hudson Valley for me. And tomorrow night we'll get back in the saddle here and we'll talk more about the impending conditions. And hopefully tomorrow night, Joe, we'll be able to say the rain ends at sunrise on Sunday with sunshine and temperatures near 60. You had a warm Sunday this past weekend, and I said, go out there and put up the Christmas.
Well, now you got a second chance.
You got a second chance coming up this coming Sunday.
Christmas decorating Sunday. Android, you got an Android device, you can get my free weather app. Just go to Google Play, and I put the link up here. It's on the descriptor to this live stream, and I stuck a link in the chat. You can download it for free, and you can actually watch replays of the Joe and Joe show, and I can actually put it in there live tomorrow if I remember how to do it. But it can be done. So you can watch this live from my weather app if you've got an Android device. If you've got an iPhone, be patient. I'm hoping anytime. Still waiting for Apple to get back to us. All right. Have a great evening. We will see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.